Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night Smackdown review. And Smackdown tonight was from the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. And tonight's Smackdown, this was a shitty show. This was a garbage, terrible show tonight. Absolutely fucking awful. There was some stuff that I liked, but aside from the good stuff or the decent stuff that I liked, everything else on the show was very garbage, in my opinion. So I'm not going to waste any time. Just going to jump right in to the review. So SmackDown opened up tonight with Miz TV. Miz ended up coming out. He ended up getting on the mic. The Indiana crowd was booing him. Miz ended up welcoming us to Miz TV. He ends up saying people are saying that he's changed after what we witnessed last week after his match with Kofi Kingston, where Miz was pissed off after the match because of him losing. And Miz ended up saying that last week he was just having a bad day, like we all have. Miz ended up apologizing to Kofi. And fans were still booing. Miz ended up saying that he's been going through a lot lately. He talks about how the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is messing with his family. And he ended up bringing out his guest for Miz TV. And his guest was none other than his best friend, his former tag team partner, one half of the Dirt Sheet. And that guest was John Morrison. So John Morrison came out. We end up hearing his old entrance music, which gave me flashbacks, when he used to come out with that music. When he came out, he had pyro, but sucks that they didn't do the slow motion, because remember when John Morrison always used to come out and he would do his pose, they used slow motion. Fortunately, they didn't do that, which sucks. But Morrison came out. He got almost no crowd reaction. Came out to crickets because they should have saved him for his spot in the Rumble, which that would if WWE would have put Morrison in the Royal Rumble, have him as an entry, he would have got a massive pop from the crowd. But unfortunately, WWE, Vince couldn't wait, so they ended up making him appear on SmackDown last week. But Morrison came out. The crowd ended up, saying, welcome back. They gave him a welcome back chant. And, Miz ended up welcoming Morrison back. And he says he uses this a lot. But this is truly awesome. So Miz ends up talking about, Morrison's past, his title runs. He ends up showing a video package that Miz ended up calling a sizzle reel for Morrison. And Miz ends up, they end up playing the video package, shows Morrison and his title wins, showed when he defeated Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship, when him and The Miz were, tag team champions. And after the video package was over, Miz ended up saying that, from the bottom of his heart, welcome back. So John Morrison got on the mic. He ended up saying WWE was filming a documentary about him for his return. And he ends up joking about having big plans for his return at the Royal Rumble. He says it was going to be epic. But after that, after they had talk on, WWE's YouTube show called The Bump a few weeks ago, he realized it was more important to be there for his friend. So originally, Morrison was supposed to come back in the Rumble, in the Rumble match. Like I said, they couldn't wait. WWE couldn't wait, and they had to put him last week on Smackdown, have a little appearance. So Morrison says he came to Smackdown last week, but what happened with Kofi, he realized he's disappointed in the fans. So the fans end up booing. Miz went on about how his friend had one bad day. Fans end up chanting, "You suck." Morrison ended up saying that Miz has worked harder than anyone else on the roster for 15 years. And he worked his way into being a WWE champion when no one thought he would last. So Morrison went on about how fans wouldn't last if they had to get in the ring. So the New Day ended up coming out. Kofi and Big E came out. Kofi was on the mic. He ended up asking who Miz is trying to fool. He says the New Day doesn't buy Miz's apology because he's a bad actor. Kofi ended up saying that he would have respected Miz more if he just said he had a bad day last week. He says that would have been respectable. But what he did was not. So Miz ended up knocking Kofi for, his title reign, for Kofi's title reign. How he mentions, Kofi was WWE champion for 6 months, and he lost it to Brock Lesnar in 6 seconds, which fans booed Miz for saying. Miz ended up saying that he doesn't respect Kofi. So Kofi ends up, defending his title loss. He ends up saying Miz is changing from cool Miz to obnoxious, annoying Miz. He says what that means is the people are correct when the fans say he sucks. So then we had, "You suck" chant from the crowd. And pretty much that's how the segment ended. But cool to see John Morrison, here. Obviously we could have waited for his return. His original return for the Royal Rumble. But WWE had to get him on TV, fast. They couldn't wait for the Rumble. But Morrison is back. He had blonde, streaks in his hair. And, when he wrestled like in the Indies and Lucha Underground, he had dark, hair. But, WWE has an agenda where they like, the female superstars. They like their blondes. So, probably that's why John Morrison, colored his hair blonde, because going around WWE, there's a blonde agenda. But anybody who gets pushed, the females superstars that they use that are blonde, they're always pushing them. So, they push the females that get over who are blonde. If you're not a blonde, you get, tossed to the side. That's WWE's agenda. But that was a segment. But like I said, cool to see John Morrison back. Let's see how WWE, uses him. And possibly going to be seeing, him and Miz team up again. The Dirt Sheet will return as a tag team. So we had the first match of the night. The Miz versus Kofi Kingston. Rematch from last week. This match, nothing different than what we saw last week. And back and forth between the both of them. Morrison and Big E were on commentary during the match. One point in the match, the Miz and Kofi were on the outside, were on the floor. Miz ended up shoving Kofi into Big E, while Big E was sitting at the announce table. You had the Miz end up countering the Trouble in Paradise. Drops Kofi with some knees. Miz came back with the knee and a DDT on Kofi. Kofi ended up kicking out of that. And in the end, Miz and Big E, Big E was backing, Miz up because they were bickering. And Morrison ends up leaping off the ring steps, drops Big E with a cannonball kick. Miz ended up returning to the ring and took control, ended up delivering the skull-crushing finale to Kofi. So there you go. The Miz ended up winning the match. Last week, Kofi ended up defeating the Miz. Now this week, the Miz ended up defeating Kofi. So, nothing different happened in this match. If you saw what happened last week in that match, same thing that we saw here tonight. Nothing new. Nothing new happened in this match. Moving on. We have the Firefly Funhouse. Bray Wyatt was shown. And Bray Wyatt ends up telling the Funhouse to the Funhouse camera to come closer and not be scared. Bray ends up saying that he wants to tell us something. He then says he loves everyone. He said that felt good. He says love is special, but not everyone is capable of it. So Bray ended up saying that he's looking at Daniel Bryan in this case. Bray said that the Fiend feels the opposite of love for Daniel Bryan. Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he can't say he blames him because Daniel Bryan has been really naughty lately. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that Daniel Bryan will be in trouble at the Royal Rumble when he faces the Fiend. Bray says first the Fiend wanted to help Daniel Bryan, then changed Daniel Bryan. And now he wants to hurt him because Daniel Bryan wants to take the Universal Championship. And so Bray Wyatt, ends up waving goodbye, and that's how the Firefly Funhouse ended. But very short. Bray Wyatt still the best thing on WWE TV. Then we saw Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville backstage. Sonya Deville is ready to just focus on their tag team. And it starts as, Deville was at ringside for Mandy's match. So Sonya Deville is hyped about, them, tag teaming. Mandy Rose is distracted by something. So Mandy Rose ends up telling Sonya she will be right out, but she just has something to do first. So Sonya ends up leaving. Mandy ends up picking up a box. And we all know what's in the box, but she smiles and she looks nervous. And you can tell it's possibly, something for Otis. But that was basically that. So, but what was in the box? We all knew it had to be for Otis. And then after that, we went to Elias. Poor Elias. He was in the ring with his guitar. He ends up playing his newest song. Crowd is loving it. I did not give a shit. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Elias was singing his new song as the crowd, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I did not give a shit. He ended up singing about the Royal Rumble. Ends up taking shots at Brock Lesnar. Elias ended up saying that he's not afraid to talk like Lesnar. He goes on singing and, he says he must have some communication. And he says when he beats Brock for the WWE title, yeah, like that's going to happen. He says he will show Brock the door. And at the Royal Rumble, he will show Brock what WWE stands for. That is Walk with Elias. Now that was this whole segment, but waste of a segment. Elias is going to be in the Rumble. Says, if he wins the Rumble, he's going to face Brock Lesnar. Highly doubt he's winning the Rumble. Of course, he's not going to win. Moving on. So then we see Otis and Tucker backstage. Tucker was trying to get Otis in a better mood for their match. And Tucker was saying, not for Otis to focus on Mandy. So Mandy ends up walking up, talks about what has happened as of late. And Tucker wanted Otis to come with him. Mandy Rose admitted that she should have said something to Dolph Ziggler. But she ended up wanting to make up for what went down, with Dolph stomping on the cake. And Mandy Rose ended up saying that she had her mother bake a cake. So Mandy Rose ended up giving it to Otis. And the cake ended up saying, "I'm sorry," on it. So Otis, didn't say anything. Mandy ended up walking off because she had to get ready for her match, or she had to get to her match. But like I said, this whole Otis and Mandy thing, a lot better than Lana and Bobby Lashley and Rusev garbage that's happening on Monday Night Raw. But like I said, we like this whole little storyline between Mandy and Otis because everyone loves Otis. Otis is, fun, guy, he's a fun character, fun superstar here that everyone loves. But I liked it. I like this little backstage thing with Mandy and Otis. Next, we had Mandy Rose versus Alexa Bliss. Of course, Nikki Cross came out with Alexa. Sonya ended up coming out with Mandy. And the match was boring. The only thing that I liked about this match was at the end, Otis ended up coming out along with Tucker. So they're coming down the ramp. Otis still has the cake that Mandy gave him. And Mandy Rose ended up taking advantage of the match. She distracted Alexa. She ended up rolling Alexa up for the win. So Mandy Rose ended up getting the win because of that. After the match, we just see Otis eating the cake. He's making a mess of it. The facial expressions on Otis were hilarious. I was laughing. And Otis was just staring down Mandy Rose. Tucker was also enjoying some cake. But it was funny though. I mean, that's the only thing that I liked, what happened after the match though. Then we were supposed to have Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks. Lacey Evans ended up coming out. She got in the ring. She ended up placing the hat that she was wearing on Greg Hamilton. Sasha's music ended up hitting. And Sasha didn't end up coming out. So, Lacey Evans was looking, at the stage. She was looking, into the crowd, thinking that Sasha was going to attack her from behind. And then Bayley gets on the screen, and she ends up taking a shot at Lacey Evans. And Bayley then tells Lacey that Sasha is AWOL tonight. Meaning that Sasha wasn't, here tonight. And Bayley says Sasha made a commitment in a real city tonight. She went on to say that Sasha is in LA, in Los Angeles, and had to finish her rap album. So Bayley ends up saying that she's only here tonight because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. And she's contractually obligated to. So Lacey ends up getting on the mic. She ends up saying to Bayley that she's not surprised Sasha isn't here. Lacey went on to say that while Sasha is hanging out in LA, she's here and she's ready to fight, especially in the heartland of America, which got a USA chant from the crowd. Lacey ended up saying that Sasha is nothing but a nasty and not here. It says while Bayley is running her mouth and not acting like a champion. So Lacey then challenged Bayley to come out and put the title on the line. Bayley ended up saying that she's not Lacey Evans' snot-nosed kid and that she doesn't have to listen to Lacey. So Lacey ended up dropping the mic. She got out of the ring, marched straight to the back. So then the camera went backstage, and Lacey was being attacked by Bayley. Bayley ended up beating down Lacey Evans, and Bayley ends up telling her to put her mom jeans on and go home. Bayley ended up walking off. Lacey then went and attacked her. Lacey ends up going for the woman's right to Bayley, but a referee ends up coming, pulling Lacey off, tells her to calm down, and save it for the ring. And unfortunately, we didn't get the match, so We might get that next week on SmackDown. Also going to get Bayley versus Sasha. No, Bayley versus Sasha. Bayley versus Lacey Evans next week on SmackDown. So we'll get that next week. So then we saw Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was backstage along with Caleb Braxton. Daniel Bryan and them talking about what Bray Wyatt said earlier. He said he admits the Fiend changed him, but says it was for the better. He says he's now more dangerous. Daniel Bryan ended up saying, no doubt the Fiend will hurt him at the Royal Rumble. But the Fiend can't break him physically or mentally. Daniel Bryan ended up saying that the Fiend wants everyone to think he can't be hurt or beaten. He says, but he doesn't like the fact that Daniel Bryan knows he can be beat and can be hurt. Daniel ended up saying that he's going to do it for the Universal Championship. So Daniel Bryan then goes to leave. But the TV screen in the back of him was fuzzing up. And we see Ramblin' Rabbit appear on the TV screen behind Daniel Bryan. So Ramblin' Rabbit is, of course, in the Firefly Funhouse. Ramblin' Rabbit ended up saying he's Daniel Bryan's biggest fan and doesn't have a lot of time. Says, but the Fiend is beatable. And he knows the secret that will allow Daniel Bryan to win the Universal Championship. So Ramblin' Rabbit ended up saying what the secret is. But Bray Wyatt then appeared, squeezed Ramblin' Rabbit until, he couldn't speak. Bray Wyatt ended up going, silly rabbit. In reference of, Tricks, the Tricks rabbit, where they would always go, silly rabbit. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying, remember kids, snitches get stitches. So Bray Wyatt ended up, not Bray Wyatt, no, it's all mixed up here. Daniel Bryan ended up looking on as Bray Wyatt ended up laughing. So Bray Wyatt laughs. Then Bray Wyatt ends up staring at the camera and says, let me in. So Bray Wyatt's just staring at the camera. Daniel Bryan's looking on. We see the Fiend, cutting in. So, but Bray Wyatt disappears off the TV screen. Daniel Bryan is there thinking about what he just saw, nods his head, and that's how the backstage segment ended. So, but that was that. Then we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Braun Strowman. This was just a squash match for Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura came out along with, of course, Sami Zayn and Cesaro. This was really Braun Strowman's match here. We all knew, going into this match, I knew Braun Strowman was going to win it. But, you had a point in the match where Nakamura had the advantage. He delivers a running kick to Braun Strowman. He knocks Strowman into the timekeeper's area. And that was because Cesaro came from behind, rammed Strowman into the ring post, and that's when Nakamura took the advantage of the match. So then, at the end of the match, Sami Zayn ended up getting on the apron, ended up distracting the referee. Cesaro ends up trying to bring in a chair. Referee ends up stopping Cesaro. So we see Cesaro arguing with the referee. Strowman then ended up charging, knocks Cesaro out of the ring. So Sami Zayn has the Intercontinental title. He tosses it to Nakamura. Nakamura ends up swinging the title, and then Braun ends up dodging it. Strowman ends up coming right back and delivers the power slam to Nakamura. Strowman goes for the cover. There you go. Braun Strowman ends up winning the match. Predictable. Very predictable. We all knew that Strowman was going to win. No chance that Nakamura was winning. So this will probably set up Braun Strowman versus Nakamura, and the Intercontinental title will be on the line at the Royal Rumble. This is what this is set up for. Now we're going to see Strowman versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental title at the Royal Rumble. So, after the match, we saw Sami Zayn. He was throwing a fit at ringside. Strowman then picks up the Intercontinental title and raises it in the air, teasing a match for the Intercontinental title. So Sami ends up running in, snatches the title, and he then makes it up the ramp to join Cesaro and Nakamura. So that was that, but squash match. What more can I say? What more can I say? So then we had a promo from Sheamus. He ended up saying, "Rise over size. Embrace who you are." He says Chad Gable has been saying a lot of things, but he didn't say anything last week. Sheamus says he knocked Chad Gable down, but Chad Gable did not rise again. He says that represents all the ills and problems that have infested SmackDown since he was away. So Sheamus went on to say, small isn't something to be embraced. It's something to be crushed and disposed of. Sheamus ended up saying that last week he proved that size does matter. He says Chad Gable says, embrace who you are. And Sheamus ended up agreeing with that. So, but little promo from Sheamus. We're possibly going to see Sheamus versus Chad Gable. So then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back, Daniel Bryan goes into his locker room and he spots a gift there. And Daniel Bryan then goes to open the gift, the present. He opens it, and what he finds inside is what is left of Ramblin' Rabbit. Where Bray Wyatt ended up squeezing Ramblin' Rabbit, and we saw, like little blood on it. But that was what we saw. Then we had the main event. The Usos versus Dolph Ziggler and King Corbin. So before the match got underway, Roman made his way out, got some pyro, as Michael Cole said, and here's the big dog. Every single week we got to hear Michael Cole go, and here comes the big dog. And same with Sasha with Michael Cole. We got to hear Michael Cole go, it's boss time. I'm like, oh, God. Every time he says that, it's so damn corny and bad. So, Roman made his way down to the ring. And Roman ended up getting on the mic. Roman went on to say that last year, 2019 was a blessed year. But he says the year ended rough for him. He ended up saying that he's been outnumbered, jumped, and even embarrassed by King Corbin and his crew. Roman ended up saying that he has always had backup, but this time he didn't need the help of friends. This time he needed the help of his family. So Roman ended up saying that his family came back last week. His cousins, the Usos. So he says, they came back last week and helped him in a major way. And he says 2020, this year, is going to be his year. And here we go. WWE is going to be ramping up the Roman Reigns agenda once again, which is going to piss off the fans. And I'm like, oh, yay, I'm ready for the Roman agenda to be back. No, I am not. So, Roman went on to say that he will win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania for the 5th time. No, and no. I don't want to see this guy main event a WrestleMania for the 5th time. I don't want to see it, and nobody else wants to see it. And he says he's going to do that with those who have been at his side since day one, who are the Usos. Yeah, so right about here, when Roman ended up saying, oh, he's going to win the Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania for the 5th time, this is WWE trying to get, of course, the Roman agenda back again. Which I don't want to see Roman main event a 5th WrestleMania. We all don't want to see it. So then the Usos came out, Jimmy and Jey Uso. Fans were popping for them. The Usos say that it feels good to be on the blue brand. And they're about to turn Smackdown into Friday Night Lockdown. They say that it's been rough being on the sidelines for 5 months, being away. He says, but it was rougher watching Roman defend himself against Queen Corbin and his kingdom. So the Usos say Corbin disrespected Reigns with the dog food. But doing that, he disrespected the whole family. Corbin disrespected the whole family. So the Usos say they're about to get real disrespectful because kings come and go, but blood is forever. So they go and welcome Corbin to the Uso penitentiary. And then they get interrupted by Corbin. Corbin and Dolph Ziggler come out. Corbin has his security, coming out on the the sedan, or his caravan with his servants. So Corbin ends up getting on the mic, which at this point I wanted to mute my TV. Corbin ends up saying that Roman is really going to throw his family under the bus because he's scared to face him. And Corbin went on and says, no one is winning the Rumble but the King, meaning him. No, Corbin, you're not winning the Rumble. So Roman says he isn't scared of Corbin. He went on to say he wants to beat Corbin's ass twice in one night. So Roman then suggests they wrestle before the Rumble match. And then Corbin can watch Roman celebrate his big win. Corbin then ends up accepting. And Corbin says after tonight, Reigns won't have any family because he and Dolph are about to hand 2 dogs 2 little bitches. So then, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, they ran the ropes. They leapt over the top. They took out Corbin and his servants at ringside. And then the match got underway, which, it was good seeing the Usos in a match again after 5 months. So everybody loves the Usos. Them coming back, it was, good to see. The match itself was very, in my opinion. It was, but, okay because of the Usos. We haven't seen the Usos, like I said, in 5 months. So, but in the match, you had the Revival. They came out. Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson. They came down to ringside. Jay was on the top. Corbin ended up shoving Jay off the top rope. Jay ends up hitting the floor. Dolph ends up tagging back in. Dash and Dawson come up the ramp. And Corbin ends up thanking them. And then Roman's music ended up hitting. Roman came out, delivered a Superman punch to both Wilder and Dawson on the stage. So Roman ended up heading down to ringside. And Corbin ended up sending Jay into the barricade. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back, we saw Jay end up hitting a Samoan drop to Dolph Ziggler. And then we had Corbin sends Jimmy back into the ring. This was later on. Corbin ends up coming over, and Roman then ends up nailing a spear on Corbin on the outside. So Roman ends up spearing Corbin, and the referee saw that. Referee ends up ending the match, so the match ended in a disqualification because of that. So after the bell was called by the referee, Roman was upset. Roman had enough of it. Roman ends up clearing the announce table. He ends up going to powerbomb Corbin through the announce table. And then we see Robert Roode. Robert Roode ends up returning, and he attacks Roman out of nowhere. Roode ends up destroying Roman. Corbin ends up hitting Roman with the deep six. And Dolph ends up joining in. He ends up super kicking Roman. Fans were booing. Boos got loud. Roode ends up talking trash to Roman. And Corbin then assists as, Bobby Roode ended up nailing a spine buster to Roman on the announce table, which, the announce table didn't break. So Corbin and Roode hold Roman down on the table. Dolph ends up putting Roman through the table with a flying elbow. And I'm like, the announce table breaks when Dolph ends up hitting the flying elbow, but when Roode ended up nailing the spine buster, it didn't break the announce table. I'm like, a spine buster could break the announce table, but a flying elbow? Just right there. I'm talking if Shane McMahon hit that, that flying elbow from the top, when Shane ended up always hitting the flying elbow from the top onto his opponents, I could sense, the announce table breaking all the time. But, when Dolph is just right there and, it just breaks like that. So, yeah, so like I said, Dolph ended up hitting the flying elbow to Roman. Table ended up breaking. And SmackDown ended. We saw Roman underneath the announce table, the broken announce table. That's how SmackDown went off the air. But garbage show tonight. Outside of Mandy and Otis and John Morrison, seeing John Morrison and the Usos, everything else was absolute garbage, awful. So anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you all later.